to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Beautiful day outside in Virginia. So the past 2 days have been really, really nice outside. I have also had the opportunity to meet with a couple of my friends in person. So that's been nice. I got to go to my friends yesterday. Excuse me. And it's been a long time since I've been in somebody else's house. I know that sounds weird, but with the vestibular disorder, and everything I've been going through, people visit me and I don't necessarily leave very often. But my friend invited me over and I was like elated to go over there, and she's a painter. So I spent a lot of the time just like looking at all of her paintings on the wall, and looking at some of her paintings that she has in progress. And it was really fun. We sat out on the back porch and she made some amazing treats, and we had a fancy cortado coffee. If you haven't had one, try it. It's amazing. It's like a cappuccino with like less milk in it. I don't know. It was really good, and I would say like it's so small it just like gets the business done, gets the gives you a shot of caffeine. It was really good, and she's an expert using her new professional fancy coffee maker machine. So we did that, and then today I got to meet up with my sponsor and friend, and we went up to the coffee shop near my house, and I decided I'm gonna try a professional cortado. And I was gonna say my friend's was better. It was definitely better, and I'm not just saying that. And yeah, so it was a really nice past couple of days. I missed yesterday's podcast because I was busy. That doesn't happen very often. But I was over at my friend's house like most of the day, and then I really needed to recover from that. That's what my days look like with a vestibular disorder. For those of you who also suffer from vestibular disorders, like I really have one to do a day, and sometimes that to do takes it all out of me, and that's really how it was yesterday. Today, it's 8 p.m. that I'm recording. I don't really do that much anymore. I used to record in the evening, um, but I really wanted to record today. I didn't want to miss another day. Just because I've been a little busybody. So today I also had a topic that I really wanted to talk about. As you know, many of you listeners, that since my stroke, I have had this challenge with a mindset of like being afraid that I'm gonna have another stroke, to put it simply. But it goes much deeper than that. And I've talked to you guys a little bit about how I'm talking to my psychiatrist about it, but it's this idea that like the other shoe's gonna drop like at any moment, or like I'm gonna like my mortality is so much more real to me. I don't know. It seems weird to say that because it's not like I didn't know that I'm going to die sometime, but it's just like my life was going in this direction and it was all going as planned, and then it changed in an instant. And that's what happens in our lives. And it really, I've never really recovered from that idea that sorry, I'm still fighting this congestion and stuff. Um, that thing, our lives change in an instant in many times, many different ways. And I, having experienced that with my stroke, I'm waiting for it to happen again. And I'm waiting for it to be devastating. And whether that is that um, somebody dear to me is going to pass away, or it's like I'm facing this, I'm going to die tomorrow. I could die tomorrow. That's what I keep thinking in my head is I could die tomorrow. So I need to get all of this stuff done. Like I need to I need to get through this life. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So what I wanted to talk about today is a little bit about that, but instead of just focusing on that obsession that I have, I wanted to introduce how I might be able to shift my mindset. And something came up when I spoke to my psychiatrist this past week, and that was the idea of having something to look forward to. I always, pre-stroke, always needed to have something to look forward to. If I was just working and like doing the same thing over and over every day, I started feeling kind of poopy, as you know, I like to say. Um, and I realized when I was talking to my psychiatrist on Wednesday that I have abandoned a little bit this idea of always making sure I have something to look forward to. Um, in some ways, like before my stroke, something to look forward to would be like a vacation, planning a vacation. And I know a lot of people do that. They'll, okay, say, well, this summer we're going to go to the beach for a week, and it gives you something to plan and something to, that's like a light at the end of the tunnel, kind of. Um, I haven't been doing that. I haven't been really planning anything. When I plan like a tea, for those of you who know me well, I'm a big fan of having people over and having a tea. It's something that I started doing in sobriety in the past 4 years before my stroke, and it's something that I've been able to do post stroke that it's really challenging for my head. It kind of pushes my head to that limit that I need to be pushing myself to. Um, and it's fun for me, and it's a way to socialize. It's very low key. And I like to cook and bake and stuff. So I will prepare this like formal um, tea where you have like the three-tiered pastry serving dish. And so I'll put all kinds, sometimes I'll bake the stuff that I put out. And sometimes my husband will, depending on how I'm feeling, he'll just go to a grocery store and get some yummy, like unique kind of pastries, and we'll set them out. And then I'll have like a plethora of teas that we can choose from. Excuse me one second. Sorry, I'm not spending the time to cut out these coughings, so because that's too hard on my head. So I'm just gonna have to apologize for it. So, um, anyway, having a tea was something that I look forward to, and I haven't been doing that kind of stuff because my head has been hurting ever since the Super Bowl. So I think I haven't really planned anything at all since the Super Bowl, which hasn't been terribly long, but I think it's time that I do that. What I also wanted to talk about is the difference between living like you're going to die tomorrow and living like you'll live forever. I hadn't thought about this before, but it was something that came up in my sobriety meeting yesterday. So I hear a lot of times, I hear people say, like in an inspirational quote, live like you'll die tomorrow, and it's like that emphasis on seizing the day and and it's supposed to be a good thing. But for me, it is leading to heightened anxiety and it is exacerbating some of my depressive symptoms. It is leading me to feel like I need to squeeze in as much as possible into my day, which is not healthy physically for my brain to try to do as much as possible. My brain can only handle um, about one big task a day. It's just extremely fatigued. It starts getting painful. So living like I'm going to die tomorrow seems like it's what I've been doing, and it's causing anxiety. It's causing fear, like that I'm going to have another stroke, because I am not looking at it from the perspective of seizing the day. When I'm thinking of live like you're going to die tomorrow, I'm looking at I actually might die tomorrow. It's an unhealthy fear. And I'm focused on like having another stroke. I'm not relaxing into my day. And it gives me this mindset of urgency rather than one of like longevity, focused on longevity, which I think may enhance my well-being. So this idea of living like you'll live forever came up in a reading yesterday, and I'm going to paraphrase, hopefully accurately, but the reading in the sobriety meeting said there was like a woman, we'll say, who, or I think it was a man. Sorry, it doesn't matter. There was a person who was planting a tree, and the daughter or son, the son said, "Why are you planting that tree? Or what are you doing?" And the father said, "I'm planting a tree, don't you see?" And he said, "But why? You're never going to see it bloom. You're never going to see it bear fruit." And the father responded, "I'm living like I'm going to live forever." So it's like planting that tree, um, expecting to see it bear fruit. It's like living my life in a way that I am going to see all of the greatest things happen, and truly planning for that to happen in my life. Long-term goals, like expecting that they will come to fruition for me. And when I'm doing something like writing my memoir, which you all who are lifetime listeners know that this has been a goal of mine. So this year, I decided that I was going to um, write one chapter a month as a first draft so that I could at least have it. And then I could start editing it over time. But I had to start somewhere. And as I looked at this memoir I wanted to write, and I had the outline and I had it all explained, like defined what each chapter was going to be about, what it was going to be, how the story was going to flow, and all of that stuff, I felt very overwhelmed when it came to actually writing the chapters. It's like I didn't know where to start. I'm like, do I start at chapter one? Do I start at when I had my stroke? Do I start at when I got sober? Like, where do I start? So, and a lot of what I'm using in the memoir is stuff that I've unearthed by doing this podcast. So the content is already exists. It's a matter of putting it into a book in the form of a memoir. And I just felt very overwhelmed by that. I started looking at this memoir with the mindset of live like I'm gonna die tomorrow. And when I was doing that, I wasn't writing anything. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling like I'm never going to have time to write this. That's what I was thinking. I'm never going to have time to finish this in my lifetime. And what a unhealthy way to look at writing a memoir. Um, but when I changed my strategy for writing it to I'm just going to write a first draft of a chapter a month because I plan on having around 12 chapters. So I thought, well, this is perfect. I'll write a chapter a month. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to put the content together. This is what I'm going to be talking about. And this is like how the chapter's going to go. And then I can edit it however many times I want to edit it, but at least it's there. And when I changed this mindset to doing it like this, it was allowing me to not look necessarily at the whole thing has to be done before I die. Now it just like broke it up in a way that was more approachable for me. It was it started to look more like I've got all the time in the world. I just have to reach the end of this year, and I'm not going to die before the end of this year. Like, I'm just telling you, I'm being honest with you, because that's what I do here. That's what my mind was doing. That is the shift in mindset that was just happening that only was able to happen because I changed my approach to the project. Um, this idea of living like you're going to live forever, um, if I if I just squeeze that into like living like I'm going to live this year, okay, if that makes sense. I feel like that is achievable for me. It doesn't it takes away the fear for me that I've been having about I'm gonna have another stroke or I'm gonna die tomorrow. For some reason, it makes it not so scary to me when I just look at this year for me. Um, so if any of you have this type of fear, because maybe you had a stroke or a brain injury or some sort of life-altering medical event, and you have this similar feeling, think about how changing your perspective on looking at it's almost like living in the moment. It's almost like living one day at a time. It is living one day at a time, but it's also I don't need to tackle my whole life right now. Why don't I just look at what I want to accomplish this year? And what it's allowing me to do is it's encouraging patience. It's encouraging me to plan a little better. and have a little bit more of a balanced approach to my life, so that I can look at my stress levels and the anxiety and the depression and all of these things that are impacting my mental health, that are making me feel like I need professional help. And that's why I've been seeing the psychiatrist. I can look at some of these stress levels and anxiety and depression and really break them down into manageable chunks. Like, what what is my plan for this year? Um, is there some sort of anxiety or sadness, like, that is affiliated with something that I'm gonna do this year? I don't know. It's that role of the perceived time that I'm focused on is helping in my cognitive and emotional processing of life on a daily basis. I know that's a lot, but it's it's kind of a breakthrough for me over the past 2 days, where I'm seeing the shift in mindset. And it doesn't mean that I'm sitting here telling you, by God, I've got it. I'm fixed, you know? I don't have to think of my whole life now. I can just think of, what do I want to focus on this year? And it's fixed. I'm still going to wake up tomorrow and have fear. But I'm going to keep talking to my psychiatrist about it. And as I do that, like, as I've realized it in the reading yesterday, that there is a shift in mindset that might be beneficial to my mental health if I can shift my mindset. As I am introduced to that idea, and then sitting down with my sponsor today and sharing that with her, I was able to recognize, wait a minute, if I'm going to look at this year, what am I doing this year? What am I doing this month that I can look forward to? Um, when I talked to the psychiatrist about this, I'm like, I want to write the book. I'm going to write the book, but I can't say that sitting down to write chapter 3 this month has been something that I'm necessarily looking forward to. What I'm looking forward to is finishing the book, but that is beyond this year. Like, that's gonna be another couple years, and I can't stomach another couple years. Like, I can't look forward that far because it scares me. It's overwhelming to me. Um, what I can do is balance doing a project like this that has a long-term outcome, a long-term goal, with some of the things that I do look forward to doing, which is like painting. Um, and so recently I painted a picture of my son and his girlfriend's kitty cat that they had to put to sleep recently. I painted like a rainbow version of the cat, and it's on Facebook if you are so inclined to find it. She posted it on Facebook, and I shared it on my profile if you want to see it. It's pretty cute. It's pretty cute. But that being able to paint that kitty cat gave me time to sit down and think about my son and his girlfriend and the kitty cat. And I looked forward to that. And what I looked forward to the most was shipping it to them and having them receive it. That is something that I've been doing on a monthly basis to have something tiny to look forward to. And it usually has to do with me giving something to somebody. That's what that's what has been the thing that I've been looking forward to. My psychiatrist asked me on Wednesday, "What are you doing for yourself that's giving you something to look forward to?" And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know. I told her I don't have an answer to that. I don't know what I do for myself that I have to look forward to because it's not like having a tea would be something that I would look forward to that I'm doing for myself. But still, having the tea is I'm enjoying preparing all this food and feeding people. Um, so I don't really know what I do for myself. I do like to buy clothes every now and then, and that's something that's just for me. Um, but I don't know. That's something I've got to figure that out. Um, anyway, these are different ways that I can have something to look forward to on a short-term basis but also put forth my time and effort towards a long-term goal that has a long-term something to look forward to. So these different ways of managing my perspective of time, my perception of time are what I'm hoping will slowly get me into a more stable mindset that I'm not going to die tomorrow. I don't want to live like I'm going to die tomorrow because it's not working for me. I need to live like I'm going to live forever because when I was younger, I did live like I was going to live forever because I never thought realistically about my mortality. Um, I only ever thought about coping with anxiety and depression and stuff like that. So being able to break down long-term aspirations into manageable steps is helping me. Being able to have these incremental achievements like finishing a chapter each month is helping to build my confidence that I am walking towards a long-term goal and it keeps my motivation going. But also having that appreciation for like having something to look forward to right now. I need that. That's really important for my health related anxieties that have built since my stroke. And I know that I'm not the only one, that I can't be the only one, right? Because I'm not unique. So, I'm hoping that as I continue to like practice this, talk about it, talk to my psychiatrist about it, share about it here, talk to my sponsor. I had an amazing conversation with my sponsor today, but being able to have these conversations will foster some of that emotional strength that I need, and I will slowly adapt. I know I will. Um, and it's so key to me to have that support network to be able to talk about it in order to navigate this challenge that I have. Um, I can't do it on my own. And that's something that I learned from my sobriety program. Um, I need to have that um in introspection to look at what my how I'm doing, check in, but I have to be able to share about it in order for me to make any progress in healing that part. of my recovery from my stroke. Um, Last year we had Read Some Recovery. Those of you who were listening last year, or those of you who weren't listening last year, we read a different book every month. And I think one of the biggest lessons I learned last year was the emotional recovery from a stroke and the emotional recovery from a vestibular disorder. I'm I'm all too familiar with the emotional recovery of alcoholism because that is one of the key pieces of sobriety and what we pay attention to, because if we're not emotionally sober, we can't stay physically sober. But all these books that I got to read last year showed me that I wasn't the only one that was suffering from these fears, and they are debilitating fears. Um, Not this past time that I started seeing the psychiatrist, but last year when I started seeing the psychiatrist, which I think was around June or something like that, I was I was sinking really fast. I was sinking into this. It was like my world was closing in on me. It was like the world was closing in on me, yet my perception of time and space, I was trying to explain this to the psychiatrist on Wednesday. The world was closing in on me, yet my perception up here in my head of time and space was getting so big that it was swallowing me whole. Um, and it was scaring the daylights out of me. I have to be able to look at my life on a daily basis in a controlled amount of time and space. And I think that when I'm talking today about looking at the year ahead of me and having that be that's more of a controlled, I can handle it. It's not overwhelming to me to look at this year. And when I look at my role in the world, that's what I mean of space. So, um, what I was starting to do was see my role in the universe. And that makes me feel really tiny, and it makes space overwhelmingly large. And it makes me feel so insignificant that I lose perspective on what is my purpose? Like, why am I even here if I'm so insignificant compared to the universe? So I have to be able to mentally time box and space box, for lack of a better term, my existence. And then I feel like I'm okay. And I hope that makes sense. It has to make sense to somebody. Out of all of you, somebody that has to make sense to. Um, but I'm gonna work at it. I want to continue to adopt a mindset that focuses on longevity, but it's not denying mortality, but is enriching the quality of my life today. And it doesn't create undue haste in my life. Um, so I'm gonna work on having some things to look forward to. I'm gonna continue to work on like um what is it that I do for myself? That's only for myself. That is something to look forward to because I don't know the answer to that. And but I'll figure it out, and it gives me something to do. I've got to have something going on between my ears at all times. And so this was really a healthy discussion for me. So I appreciate you listening and showing up for me and showing up for yourself. I hope it gave you a lot to think about as well. And for those of you who have been reaching out to me recently and telling me that I just want you to know I still listen to you every day. I can tell you're listening to me every day, and I love you and I appreciate you. But thanks for reaching out and letting me know. There are a lot of times that I'll sit here and talk, and I'm like, is anyone listening? But it's good. It's very healthy for all of us. So I appreciate you. Thanks for showing up, and I will talk to you tomorrow.